For more than 20 years, it was the station to tune to for your rock fix. But a couple of years ago, KRZR, the Wild Hare, went off the air.
Well, tomorrow, a documentary will premiere about the rock radio story. Roy Giovanni, there we go, right in front of me, and Chris Daniel are here to tell us all about this exciting documentary. Why did you decide to put this thing together?
I really have to give all the credit to Rick Rodham for this. This was something where Rick and I had been working together in various video capacities over the last year, and again, about a year to the date, he came to me at the completion of something we had done together, and he said, you know, I've got a story about KRZR that I'd like to tell. And I said, let's do it. You know, without even thinking about it, I really jumped in and said, let's do it, not realizing again that the entire spectrum of what we were about to, you know, undertake was involved with. But.
Yeah, well, talk about KRZR and what made this station so special, Chris?
It was a kind of an island. It was a no-holds-barred station. We played rock, of course, so that led to a little bit of an edge. And we seemed to come in every day and try to take it to the edge. We were every day people were trying to do that. It was a place where listeners could become stars overnight as well, and I think that related to it. The fact that they're talking about the listeners so much in this story and how they participated in our crazy events, I think is absolutely essential to the story. So,
well, what are some of the behind-the-scenes things that we're going to learn about in this documentary?
Well, I think one of the things you're really going to learn about is the archetype of how people worked in this station together. I mean, again, E. Curtis Johnson, the program director, is going to be one of the main characters, and within that, you learn how he worked, you know, with people like Chris. You learn the story of how Chris Daniel came to Fresno and how there were two separate forces going two different directions that happened to intersect in one happen chance. You know, there's, in addition to that, a lot of the events that people came to know and love in this area are also presented there. You're talking about how the, you know, running of the sheep became an event, you know, and all the things behind the scenes of that. So plus I think you also learn a little bit about the personality and how people there really cared about the station. You know, it was a genuine love affair between the listener and the DJs. How
long was the station on the air, and when did it go off and why?
KRZR came on in June of '89 and went for 21 years. I was there for 14 or 15 of them. I'm one of the original members. It went off the air, and some of this is talked about in the movie. It became a very corporate culture, and companies like Clear Channel started to downsize. And you notice there's not very many young disc jockeys coming up anymore like there used to be. That's kind of part of the problem. And I like to say KRZR didn't die, it was starved to death. So,
well, Roy, was this more of a labor of love for you?
Yes.
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 Yes. I mean, you know, an interesting kind of point in the timeline over the last year is that I think it was about in August where Rick Rodham, who again was my co-director in this, Rick left town. Again, he found work. He's now working in Phoenix at a rock radio station there. So, but at this point, we had already done over 20 hours worth of interviews. We knew that the story was as big as it was. We had already seen, this was before we'd even got to interview people like Chris, but we already knew the content of what we had was so important that we had to keep going with it. I mean, we just knew that at this point, we just had to kind of carry on and make sense of it. Again, you're talking about over 30 hours of footage that we had to make into about an hour and 40-minute narrative. Keep people interested, get all the best points, make it as rounded as possible. So there were a lot of elements that went into this, but again, it definitely was a labor of love. And to see the final product when it comes out, you know, was really something that Rick and I are both very, very proud of.
Now, is there an age limit? We should say this really isn't appropriate for a certain age.
I think it is in the legacy of KRZR that there should be always an age limit, and there never was. But I would say 18 or over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now, let me ask you, what are some of the names that people will be hearing about and seeing as far as past DJs in this time period?
Jennifer Lipp. Let's see here. Rick Rodham, and you know, he's being given credit for the movie. He was a long-time afternoon guy. Skippy's going to be in it. Coyote's going to be in it, and hopefully some of the people that haven't been around for a while that might bring back a blast from the past for the people that are unfortunately my age. So.
Well, and let's know now, what are you doing now?
I'm over at KMJ. I do afternoons on both the FM and the AM KMJ.
Okay.
And I don't know what you're doing.
Well, actually,
what do you do?
during the day, I am a stay-at-home dad. I have 3 young boys, a 5-year-old and twin 3-year-olds. I work my evenings. I have a retail job part-time, so when my wife gets home, I switch with her. And then all times in between that has really been spent making this movie. So, you know, it was just kind of picking and choosing the best angles to jump in, do a little bit, step back, and so that really made it, you know, again, Rick and I had to put a lot of attention to detail to make sure that we stayed on point and got ourselves to this point. So.
Now, Chris, you have your family has a history of being in the radio, a long history. Your father was in New York?
My father was in New York radio for 45 years on a 51-year career. He just recently retired. He still sounds better on a microphone than I do. and I'm pretty proud of him. And my mom, that's how they met in a radio station. So she was,
well, I'm sure they're proud of you too.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for coming today and for all the hard work clearly you put in.
Thank you for having us.
If you'd like any more information on how you can get tickets to the premiere, you can log on to kmph.com. The premiere is tomorrow night at 8, Tower Theater. Just takes $10 to get in. Remember, 18 or older, just so no one gets offended.